there, and hello. So here is my next story. It is the story about why I do not do drugs. It is, it's a good one. It starts out a little bit serious, but it ends up pretty good. So just bear with me through the setting of the stage, if for lack of a better term. First, I do not have a problem with pot, marijuana, or anything. I think that with most things in this world, if used with temperance, is not a bad thing. So with that said, we'll move forward. And two, I do say a couple cuss words. It is intrinsic to the story, so I apologize if it's offensive. So, on to my story. I had just moved in with my boyfriend, and we were getting everything gone through, and I had my notebook, I had my iPad, my phone. I was getting ready to go downstairs so that we could have our budget talk, about where things are going. So I walked downstairs, and I'm like, well, I've got this, and here we have this, and just started talking about what bills we should expect. He was not from America, so he was not up to par with how things in America are ran. And so I going through, and he gets really, really angry. I mean, I'm talking like not normal angry. I'm talking like, are you going to get aggressive angry? And so I stopped the conversation, and we start talking about the anger. And he just said, talking about finances makes me really, really, really angry. And I'm like, okay, seems a little weird, but we're going to deal with that, because I'm not going to not talk about finances with you. And a little bit later, I found that he had eaten an entire package of bacon in one sitting. So that required another talk. I have absolutely no problems with indulgence, but health issues are fairly important to me and my world. Again, really, really, really angry. I mean, just like venom coming out. And I'm like, this is just not normal. Then I start delving, and I find that he had a friend that stayed over, needed to place a crash, and she did his dishes. And this again infuriated him so much that he actually ruined the friendship. She refuses to ever talk to him again. He later, upon my prompting, went to at least apologize, and she still won't talk to him. She has totally blocked him, which means that he must have really been overboard. So with this, I'm looking at my future of it not being a very good future. I'm not okay being tied to someone who is going to be borderline violent with me when I need to talk about the electric bill. So I give him the ultimatum. You got to get into therapy. You've got to address this problem, or you and me, we can't work out. And so he ends up going to therapy, and he comes back with a severe depression as a diagnosis. So, and if there's one thing about me you need to know, is that I hate being wrong. Like, I really hate being wrong. So, in my path of not being wrong, I end up talking to a friend of mine that is a psychologist, probably one of the most knowledgeable men I know in psychology and that area. So I ask him, what should I expect? Give me a timeline. What am I dealing with here? Everyone knows what depression is, but when you're actually nitty gritty in something in it, and it is something that is so extreme that it may actually cause violence, I want to know the finer details. So I start, I ask him, what's going on? He starts giving me some information about how long I should expect for me to start seeing results with, between medication and therapy. And so I ask him, how can I help? How can I build an environment that will allow him to heal? mostly it's because I didn't want to be held accountable if he fails. I didn't want him to be able to say that it was my fault, because I hate being wrong. So one of the things that he says is you have to be very easygoing. I am probably one of the least easygoing people you will ever meet. When you're on the massage table, I am super, super chill, and I'm nice, and I'm like, oh, this is, super chill, very calming. But when it comes to me, I am not chill. I am like, yeah, not at all. So I'm looking at trying to force myself to chill. And I'm like, well, you know what? I am a massage therapist in Colorado. It is required that I do pot, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to go start doing pot. Almost every pot person I know is really super chill, except for the few that like they live pot, then they're paranoid. So I go to a local place, and I walk in, and there's a tiny little room, like tinier than my office. Like this tiny room's a desk, and there's a woman, very imposing looking. She was just a pretty cranky. And she goes, ID. I'll be back. So I leave. I don't go. I don't get it because I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because it had just been made legal, and wasn't real okay with having her, check my ID because she was putting ID stuff in computers. So I'm like, So I go do a little bit of research, and I find out that, it's just, there really is no way around it. And I really hate being wrong. Like, really hate being wrong. So I do a little bit more research, and I find out that you can't go through this process without, about $200-300. So I go in, and she asks for my ID again, and I hand it to her. I'm not feeling real good, but trust me, my hair is like in a sensible bun. I'm wearing my scrubs. I am professional. And she takes my stuff, and she hits the button, and this door, I am not kidding, this door out of nowhere goes like, and like all this smoke starts coming out, and I'm like, ooh, wow. So I go through, and I walk into what looks like a scientific lab. There is plexiglass and stainless steel everywhere. And I'm like, ooh, this is good. Kind of going through. And, but between me and the display of a plethora of marijuana choices is one of those rope, cues. And purple rope, really nice. And so I'm walking through, and I'm kind of scanning. These people are really weird looking. I have seen at least one Def Leppard shirt, a couple Metallica shirts, 3 jean jackets, about 2 mullets, and yeah, I'm standing in the back with my sensible hair bun and just kind of waiting in line. And this guy who has a matching shirt, like his purple shirt matched the purple ropes perfectly. And he's going through, and he's talking to each person in line. So I'm kind of waiting. Another mullet behind me shows up, and like it was perfect, like the black around the cuffs and everything of the jean jacket. It was great. Reminded me of my childhood. And so he's going through, and he finally gets to me, and he goes, "Hi, everyone calls me Mr. Miyagi." "Hello, Mr. Miyagi." And he asks if I'm there for recreational or medicinal. And so I'm like, well, I kind of don't want to have to kill my husband. Well, actually, it was my boyfriend at the time. So, and so he goes, "So recreational." And I'm like, "Not really." So I have to chill. And so he goes, "Well, go through the queue. And when you get to the queue, don't go past the queue without your bud master." And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting in line, and I'm watching these guys go back and forth. And there are some beautiful men there. I mean, with the broad shoulders of the walk guys, and I'm like, that man could be my bud master. Yeah. So I'm walking through, and I finally get to line. I'm like, bud master. And up walks I don't know what her race is, but she had that beautiful, perfect, like, wasn't black, wasn't white, maybe it'd been like Puerto Rican, but had that beautiful skin with the little freckles and little pouty lips with the little squeaky butt, you know, the perfect little butt. And she goes, "Hi, I'm your Budmaster." "Hello, Budmaster." She goes, "So how can I help you?" And I explained to her, well, I have to chill. I have to be super, super chill. I haven't done pot in years, with the exception of that one time with my really good friend, and that was just one night. And I can't smell, so I need an edible, and I need a really low dose because I don't take a lot of meds. So she goes, "Okay, well, if you'll follow me to the edible line," turns around with her little squeaky butt, you know, the one that like every time they walk, and it's perfect. Ugh. So she's walking, and she's like, "Well, if you look over here," and then she does like, "Over here, you'll see our edible line." And she's like, and she's looking at this, and I'm hating her perfect little squeaky butt more and more as she's moving. And she goes, "Well, we have the lowest dose is Chewy's raspberry. Do you like raspberry Chewy's?" I'm like, I absolutely love Chewy's. So now, $200 or $300 I'm paying in cash because it's not going on my bank account at all. So I have like a 20 in my bra, 100 in my shoe. I think I've sphinctered at least a good 40, 50. I have it, you know, kind of interspersed in case I get, you know, mugged. It is a drugstore. So I take it home, and after I pay for my Chewy's, and I have the perfect day. And so I open it up, and they're hermetically sealed. I mean, it was really good. I mean, everything was like, it looked really professional. I was actually pretty impressed. And she said to just take one and then start from there. So I take one, and rip it, I undo it. Smells like pot and raspberry. So I pop this raspberry Chewy in my mouth, and I start chewing. If I could imagine the way rancid monkey balls would taste, that is what these Chewy's tasted like. Now, I don't know what you do when you have rancid monkey balls in your mouth. I swallowed. So I'm done, and I'm waiting. This is going to take a little bit more time than it did when I was in high school. You know, with the Coke can that you put a bunch of holes in, or if you actually had a friend who was brave enough to have a real pipe, you were good. So instead, I've swallowed these rancid monkey balls, and so I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to wait. I am going to watch Vikings, because really, if you're gonna wait to get high, let's watch Rollo topless. So I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm watching Vikings. I'm like, yeah, Rollo's topless, Rollo. And then I realized that I have missed everything because I'm so focused on seeing Rollo topless because he is that good. And so I rewind it, and I'm watching it again. Yeah, Rollo. And I'm realizing that maybe his pants are not historically accurate, and I don't care. So, and then I go to do it again. Then I realize I am high as fuck. There's like no way I can get higher. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, oh God. Okay, I'm not chill, I am high. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out what to do because I'm not doing really well. And I had a friend living with me at the time, and she comes up and she goes, so now that, actually he was my husband at the time. Now that your husband is getting ready to lose his job, he didn't do proper paperwork for his visa, and he was getting ready to lose his job, also dealing with depression and being an aggressive jerk. So she goes, what do you think he's going to do now that he's at home alone, not doing anything? Now, I had no volume control, and I thought that I had waited at least 5 minutes to answer her. So I tried to make up for it by saying, I don't know what you think he's going to do, which is a translation, I don't know what you think he's going to do. Just for the curious watchers, he did nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, but I will not be wrong. Why is it? Okay, so the focus is doing something weird. I'm sorry. But anyways, so I'm trying to have this conversation with her, and it is not working. I mean, I am trying so hard. So finally I'm like, I've got to go. I've got to go lay down. I'm not feeling very good. And so for the next 5 hours, I am laying in bed and I am rocking and I am bitching at myself for my poor life choices. I am uncomfortably high. I am not okay. I do not feel good. And so I'm rocking. After about 5 hours, I sit up. And now I'm just like fucking high, which is a huge step down from high as fuck. You got fucking high and then it's like fucking high and then high as fuck. And I wake up and I'm hungry. Like munchies? No, that wasn't, I was ravenous. And it could have been from the drugs. It could have been from rocking for 5 hours, complaining at myself. But I ended up making this plate of spaghetti. No, it's a huge pot of spaghetti. I ended up putting a can of cream of mushroom soup, a handful of bacon, what was left of it, and then a handful of cheese. And I mix it up. It was the best thing in the entire world. I was mad at my throat because I couldn't swallow it quick enough. It was delicious. And so I end up giving, like, I text a friend. I'm like, dude, you are taking these rancid monkey balls off of me. They are horrible. They are yours. You get as high as you want. And so I bring them over to him. And he opens it up. He's reading and turns the package over and he opens it up again. He's like, how many were in here? And I'm like, 4. 4 rancid monkey balls were in that bag. And he starts giggling. And he goes, well, first mistake. You made 2. First mistake was that it says there are 8 servings. So you took a double dose. You took a double dose of hash. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was my drug day. I had one drug day, well, outside of high school. Actually, no, I did do it twice more. Once was a friend who uses it for pain management, said, you know what, I really don't want you to, I don't want you to have this be your last experience. What if you actually really do like pot, but you don't like hash? You do not like a large dose of hash, but you do like pot. So he gave me a really small little bit, and it was actually, I got a little tiny bit high. I didn't like it. It's like getting drunk off of tequila once. You're done. You're done for forever after that. And yeah, so that is why I do not do pot at all. If you would like to, go with your bad self. Definitely have a great time. I do not judge you. It is not for me. However, I will probably in the future tell you about the time that just about the time that I accidentally drugged myself, which seems to be a recurring theme in my life. Have a great day. I'm sorry for the big anticlimactic story. I find that in real life, usually the stories are anticlimactic. So have a great day, and thank you.